Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Celtic Way morning briefing on Monday, the 28th of August. My name is Ryan McGinlay, and I'm delighted to be joined by Tony Haggerty. Tony, how are you doing this morning?
I'm very well, Ryan. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing not too bad. I know. On Saturday night we were a wee bit
Down.
disheartened a wee bit down in the dumps after the game. And we talked about it wasn't going to be a happy Monday, but we'll try our hardest to get it into a happy Monday for sure.
Correct.
Yeah, thank you to everyone that was waiting in the comments for us to start the show. We had a bit of problems with the audio, or with me not turning the microphone up. So it's one of these ones, it's a Monday. This wouldn't happen on a Friday. It's very much a Monday problem. But yeah, thank you everybody for waiting and being patient. Just before we start off today, we've got plenty to talk about today. By the way, we've got loads and loads of topics. If you subscribe to the Celtic Way website, you'll be supporting top quality football journalism covering the club you love at www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. We've got Tony Haggerty going the life of Brian on Brendan Rodgers. He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy. It is a really good article if you check it out. You've also got a stats bomb piece from me that I completed yesterday morning. Regarding the nothing each draw with St Johnstone. Yeah, I go into the XG, I go into passing networks, key passers, key shooters, top shooters. I know there wasn't too many of them, but there was people taking more shots than others, and the pressing in a game. So if that is what you're into, then please give it a look. I spent a lot of time doing it, and it's quite comprehensive of the draw, and I think it explains a few things. So if you are interested in the analytical side of the game, then please check out www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. £4 for 4 months. It's a great offer that's going on just now. So yeah, get involved. It's good stuff on there. I know we're a bit biased always saying that because it is our work that's on there, but it is good stuff, and it does get checked. So it's not as if we're just putting it out there.
I enjoyed writing that piece, Ryan, last night because I got to quote one of my favourite films of all time, The Life of Brian. And yeah, I used the Messiah naughty boy quote, but I end on a real positive and a high. So I used kind of coined the phrase concerned optimism. So for those of you thinking I'm having a go, I'm not. I'm just pointing out a couple of facts. But yeah, as I say, I got to quote Monty Python Life of Brian. Don't often get to do that when you're writing about Celtic, but there you go. So it's in the comment section, guys. I posted it up. Have a read at that, and also have a read at Ryan's Stats Bomb report. As he says, it's very comprehensive. And do yourself a favour and log onto the website and do that.
Yes.
Yeah, we are. We're going to be a wee bit more optimistic, I think, after the weekend. We've taken stock, haven't we, Ryan, and chilled out a bit.
Still top of the league after St Mirren dropped points yesterday. So yeah, it's ended up okay. Top of the league, joint top with Motherwell, who have had a great start to the season. It's got to be said, but 7 points in 3 games. It could be better, but obviously it could be a lot worse as well. You look at the first couple of games, Celtic could have dropped points in those games quite easily. So yeah, I'm going to try and look at a more balanced view out of it. It was a really poor performance on Saturday. Plenty to discuss regarding that, and plenty we have discussed on that video. I think we went 54 minutes. It was good, really good views on that as well. So it was good. It was good to see that loads of people were watching and tuning in and listening to what we had to say. So we can't complain, and it does help the channel as well. The channel does help the website as well, because the free content that we put out does help us do or the paid content does help us do the free content that we do on the YouTube channel. So if you are interested, then please click the subscribe button and you'll get notifications whenever we go live, both with pre-recordings and a premiere and live recordings and the morning briefings and and we're doing the squad lineups as well and match reactions as well. So yeah, there's going to be plenty of stuff on the YouTube channel. We're going to keep on going with it, and because we've got a good community here, and we want to make it even bigger. So yeah, the more the merrier on this trip of ours, we would say.
Yeah, and if you haven't checked out the YouTube channel over the weekend, I advise you to do that. Peter Grant's top 5 Celtic moments is in there, and if you've got a spare hour or so, I would advise you to watch that. It's excellent. Just for the Paul McStay Hans Krankel story alone, Ryan, I would highly recommend it. But guys, have a watch at that. Peter was in great form. But anyway, to serious business, Ryan. Celtic this week, and counting down to Ibrox on Sunday, September the 3rd.
Yeah, is it going to be the famous 5, do you think, Tony? Do you think there's going to be as many as 5 names coming through the door? That was the rumour that was going about yesterday, plus then it was reported in some of the outlets that Celtic were looking to make up to 5 signings before the end of the window. You would expect that to be the incoming Lewis Palma and 4 other players, if that's to be the case. I think 5's a very optimistic number. Very, very difficult to do your business in the last week of the window when everybody's frantically panicking and running about in order to get their squads in good shape. But it is enlightening to hear that Celtic are still trying to do wholesale business in the last week of the window. 5 is an optimistic number, but it is good to see that they're trying to make things happen.
I would say 5 is optimistic, but I'll go for a bit of De La Celtic soul and say 3. Maybe the magic number, Ryan. I think that would give everybody an extra bit of comfort and security blanket heading to Ibrox, and it would be handy if they were first team ready, and they could be pitched straight in. Whether you would decide to do that or not at Ibrox is one of those is clearly up to the manager, but it would be beneficial. I think certainly you'd want a central defender in there, wouldn't you? Just for an extra, as I say, security blanket of comfort. Lewis Palmer, he looks as if he can get straight in. He's been playing and he's been involved in every goal that Aris Thessalonica scored this season. So, as his manager said, so
yeah, pretty much confirmed it yesterday, didn't he, with those comments?
He did indeed, yeah. So, and another maybe a ball-winning midfielder, tall guy in the midfield. Don't know. That's the kind of on my wish list. Other people wanting a striker, a left back, and all that kind of stuff. But it's heartening to know that they might sign as many as 5, because I think everybody knows, and the manager himself admitted that that they need players brought in, but they need the quality that's required, or the profiles that's required for a club like Celtic. You just don't want them to be scrambling around, do you, on the last day? You would like them to get them in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and if any of these guys that are coming in are going to feature at Ibrox, then you want the manager to be working on that team shape and a formation for a good 48, 72 hours, hopefully, before they go to Ibrox. Because I've got to be honest, and I'm mentioning this piece, it's not out with the realms of possibility that Brendan Rodgers has more managerial nous and is more of a tactician and a Strudy than Michael Beale. So would you put it against him getting a result at Ibrox on Sunday? No, you wouldn't. What disheartens is the way the team has performed the past couple of games and drawn a blank. So that's the negatives. But positively, I still think we've got the right manager in charge. I still think it will come good. We were all a bit shell-shocked on Saturday, which maybe explains the kind of reaction to drawing a blank against Kilmarnock and drawing a blank against St Johnstone, who were bottom of the table. But in the cold light of day, you start to say, right, okay, how can this be fixed? And there's no better place to fix the wee malaise than Ibrox on Sunday. Everything's against you, isn't it? So this is when we'll get Brendan Rodgers' managerial juices flowing. This is the kind of thing he came back for. This is where he will earn his corn. And I think that I'm going to be as positive and optimistic about getting a result over the course of the week, because I still think that team's capable. And with a couple of more additions, 5 has been quoted, 3 I think would be the magic number, but I just think you can go there, maybe buoyed by that, a couple of new signings, fresh faces, bolstering your squad. So yeah, I've dispensed with the doom and gloom from Saturday, Ryan. It's a new week, it's a new day, and it's a big week for Celtic, both on and off the field, and I'm feeling it, as they say.
Yeah, me too. I think all the negativity of Saturday is kind of washed over now. It's but I think that 55, the 55-minute video definitely helped us in that. I think we got all of our concerns out of there.
Cathartic for you, sir? Was it?
It was a wee bit, yeah. Just standing outside the Velodrome, I felt like I could go and do a couple of laps around the Velodrome after that. But yeah, it was it was quite cathartic in a sense, because you're annoyed after the game. You want to you're trying to keep it balanced as well, because it's only a draw at the end of the day, although it did feel like a loss due to playing at home. But at the same time, Celtic shouldn't be dropping points at home to most teams, if not any. The only time they should really be proper struggling is maybe in the Champions League against a really good side. But it's annoying to see the team not play to their usual standard that that they're capable of. A lot of those players were there last season. They were used to the high standards that were getting set under Postecoglou, and I've got no doubt that Brendan Rodgers has high standards as well. It's what's made him a top manager in the past. He's came back. I've got no doubt that he's a good manager, but it's just a bit of a bump in the road just now, I would say. And I think the best way to remedy that would be a good performance. A good performance could even mean you get out of Ibrox with a draw, but if you win that game, then all of a sudden everything's rosy in the garden again, pretty much. These games take care of themselves. We always know that. It's Monday just now. It's Sunday. Sunday will just come around so quickly. That's the way it happens with the derby games. But I'm sure that the team will be ready. They'll be prepped for it, and they'll give it their best shot on Sunday, and whatever will be. But yeah, I think these are the games that Brendan Rodgers came back for. I think he came back for the European games, but I also think he came back for the heightened challenge of our rivals across the city. He will have been buoyed by that. He'll have wanted a rivalry, because he didn't really get that as much the first time. Maybe he got it in his third season when he lost a couple of games, or he lost a couple of games here and there over the second season and the third season. But I think he'll be happy to be back and happy to be renewing that rivalry between us and Rangers, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that transpires on Sunday. I'm not going to go into it negative, because anything can happen in these games. Throw all the cliches out again. We're going to do it again. All form goes out the window. Derby day, etc., etc. But yeah, Sunday is as good a time as ever for Celtic to kick into gear, don't you think?
Without doubt, and yeah, you're going to have to match the intensity that Rangers will come at you with, and they'll have the crowd behind them and all that kind of stuff. And I kind of get what Brendan Rodgers was saying, that actually the Rangers game is the kind of easiest fixture to play after the two kind of blips, you would say, against Kilmarnock and St Johnstone, because there is no motivation needed for Ibrox, or there shouldn't be. The game speaks for itself, the enormity of it at all times, and the fact that you're going to Ibrox without any supporters. See, if you're a player, that should flick your switch. See, you walk out at Ibrox on Sunday, you walk out with your chest puffed out, and you give it, I'm having this. Let's go. Let's go to work. This is a day when Brendan Rodgers, 4 words, let's go to work, has to come into play. Everybody, and I include the manager in that, from this week, a whole week onwards, let's go to work, because you get a chance to turn all this kind of negativity around, which was the kind of premise of the Naughty Boy Messiah thing that I picked out on that piece that's on the website. So have a read at that, guys. But yeah, you can turn all this in its head. You are top of the league by a point, and conceivably, not conceivably, factually, if you win at Ibrox, you're 4 ahead of your rivals, who will be your rivals for the title. So put that spin on it rather than negativity. I don't know any kind of Celtic team that goes to Ibrox and plays for a draw. If they get a draw at this moment in time, yeah, most people saying, it'll be a fair result. Rangers showed you in the dead rubber last season what they were about. That was their kind of way of saying, this is an early marker. They're going to play the same kind of way. That's the way they're going to come at you. Now you have
Straight
to
from
be
the
big
off.
have to be big and stand up to that. These are prerequisites. These are givens. But if I'm a Celtic player, I'm showing everybody we're better than we've shown the last couple of games. It should sting. It should hurt you. And I'm with Brendan Rodgers in that. This game is probably the easiest game, because you want to get all that, all the poor performances out your system. Where's best to do it? Go and do it at Ibrox. Go and show everybody why you're champions, why you're top of the league, and prove that you're still good players and you don't lose this overnight. And I think, everybody's guilty of knee-jerk and getting upset when they don't win a football match. It's just the last two games that they've not looked like winning a football match and not scored goals. Saturday, they looked like scoring goals because he created chances. Matt O'Reilly was denied with some good goalkeeping, some poor finishing. Okay, fine, we get it. But they're out the system. That's in the past. You have to look strongly to the future. And I think Ibrox is the game where it all switches round for Brendan Rodgers and this Celtic team. Could be blind optimism, could be concerned optimism, as I said, but I'm still optimistic. You know, as I said in the Peter, are the Celtic supporters concerned with Sunday's trip to Ibrox? Of course. Are they optimistic? Yeah, they're always optimistic that they can get a result at Ibrox. I always am, until the 90 minutes is finished, or 90 plus minutes is finished, and I see in the top left of my screen that Celtic have lost. I refuse to believe that they've lost a football match against Rangers. Told you, old romantic in me, just so I'm always a kind of glass half full, and you can be as negative you want about Celtic. We know they're malfunctioning. We know that at times on Saturday the managers kind of looked lost on in the technical area. The players certainly look lost because they're transitioning between a system that they played, like clockwork for 2 years, and now Brendan's came in and still tweaks and adaptations going on. But we're better for it all to fall into place than Sunday, and I think the manager himself knows the importance of this. And you mark my words, Celtic will be bang at it on Sunday, because I think they will work all week on a system and a shape and a discipline that can see them get a result. I could be wrong in that, could be coming on Sunday and saying, well, that was all tosh, but I'm pretty confident in that statements that I've made, and I stand by them. And I think something will happen on Sunday with regards to Celtic in terms of the performance.
Yeah, I think you were channeling your inner Martin Sheen there with that team talk, that rousing team talk. I'd get you in that dressing room for Ibrox. You'd get them going. They'd be like, "Who is this guy talking at us?" But you know what? They'd be fired up by the end of it.
It's in any given Sunday team talk, isn't it? For all those that have seen the Al Pacino clip in the film Any Given Sunday, it's that's it on Sunday. That's all you need to talk about, all the players and those inches on the field and all that. The inches matter and all that kind of stuff. So that's the kind of fervour that's needed to go on. You have to create your own fervour, because there's 52,000 going to create their fervour, against you. So Celtic have to match that, and I'm always on the side of the manager in this one. He's been there, seen it, done it. And that's what gives me faith that I think he can turn this around.
Yeah, I meant to say Michael Sheen, not Martin Sheen. I get my Sheens mixed up. At least I didn't say Charlie Sheen. That's so
Mr. Sheen.
There's too much Sheen. But I'm going to give you the power, Tony, at this point. Right, so we're a week. So we've got 7 days until the Rangers game. It's just looking at that team lineup, and obviously due to the fact that you've got power still, due to the fact that the transfer window is still open, what sort of let's say, for example, there is going to be 3 signings, because 4 or 5 does sound a bit optimistic. I think actually we can give you 3. I'll give you 3 positions, because Luis Palma I think if he signs, he will start at the weekend. I think that'll be almost a cert to just come in and start the game. But if at those 3 positions, if Celtic are going to make transfers, what positions do you think that they're going to be in, and do you think that they start on Sunday?
I would still want a centre back.
I think that's needed. Yeah,
a dominant centre back. And if you bring in a dominant centre back, then he is starting, isn't he?
Absolutely.
Luis Palma starting on the left wing, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Unless you want Maeda's running off the ball at Ibrox, but
Maeda can play on the right then, can't he?
He could do. He could play either
if need be. Yeah.
I think he'll play wherever. He would play wherever the manager wants. I don't think he's going to complain.
And I think maybe if you are going to do that, you do have to match the intensity. But I think Maida would have to do one of those selfless, that Anne Postecoglou spoke about, selfless, sacrificial performances, and just match whoever he's directly up against and combat that. And if you can negate that kind of threat, then that's you're partway there. That's what I mean by setting yourself or setting the team up to play. But what I do want to see is Kyogo played as a centre forward.
Yeah,
I want him as a centre forward. I don't want him 40 yards from the Rangers goal or the game happening in front of him. I want the ball to be coming in and him running on an out and out centre forward on Sunday, because he has to be when Celtic need to create and score goals, and you need help from the midfield. And then you say to yourself, would a midfielder coming in, would you trust Thiago home at Ibrox? Because he has got a bit of dig and a bit of bite, but he's pretty young, isn't he? Could he get overran? Would you feel better with a midfielder coming in there and playing in alongside the likes of McGregor and O'Reilly? And then McGregor's been so off the boil since the start of the season, hasn't he? But it'd be inconceivable to drop your captain for Ibrox. Yeah, but that would be a major call, wouldn't it? So again, but the reason we're speaking about things like this is because it's been a poor start to the season for lots of individual players, well, most of them, to be honest. So, but I would be happy to see a defender, a central defender, and a midfielder in Palma. If that's the risk that you're going to have to take, then I think that risk could bring some reward. But as long as these guys come in at the latest on Wednesday, so you have Thursday, Friday, Saturday to work on some kind of team shape and formation and style to get your result, because Celtic are well capable of getting a result. These players are underperforming at the minute, but they're winners. They know how to win, and they know how to win at a place like Ibrox as well. So I would be happy with that. If nobody comes in, then you'd be a wee bit more fearful if the kind of starting 11 that took to the field against St Johnstone was in situ at Ibrox. That's the thing. I'm fairly confident that it won't be. I like the look of Lewis Palmer, but I'll judge him for myself when I see him. Sometimes, guys that make debuts slot in straight away. They have dream debuts, unlikely heroes are made, or conversely goes the other way and the game passes them by. So these are the things that the manager has to weigh up. These players coming in, whilst they might be first team ready, would a game of that magnitude and nature pass them by? You have to weigh all that up. But for me, I still think they need a central defender at the back of the pack for that, as I say, an extra layer, security blanket, comfort, and Lewis Palmer if need be. And I still want a midfielder to come in. And I can cope with the left back situation at the minute, and I know it gives you grave cause for concern.
Oh, it definitely does.
But I would be more buoyed by a central defender being there, and then you can, you can adapt your tactics to suit, So, but I think 3 coming in, Ryan. But again, if 3 new players do come in, do they all start? I don't know. I'm still very up in the air about that. But I would certainly want a central defender in Lewis Palmer. If that's the case, then I think that risk could bring some reward. But it just depends what happens midfield-wise as well, because Turnbull's been off it, McGregor's been off it. O'Reilly, whilst he's still been on it, has missed chances in both.
He's not getting shooting boots on.
Kilmarnock and St Johnstone games to put Celtic ahead in both of those matches with real gilt-edged jobs. Then again, conversely, could it all come to fruition at Ibrox? You create those chances again and they don't miss. So, you have to look at it like that as well.
Yeah, he's not scored against Rangers yet either, Matt O'Reilly, so that will be something that he's hoping to do if he had his shooting boots on, and that might be a reason why he's still at Celtic and he's not earned his move to a bigger club down, or not a bigger club down south, but maybe a richer or a club that's in a better league down south, is because of his shooting. He's
What
he
do
wants
you
to play
think, Ryan? What's
in
your
terms of
thoughts on
positions.
players? Do you think Celtic can afford to make wholesale changes like ahead of a game at Ibrox? Do you think up to 3
I think
or 2 at best?
regardless of the team that would be going out, it would be an unfamiliar lineup. That's the thing. So if
Yeah.
you're going to bring in players, and you might as well start as you mean to go on. I mean, you look at Lagerbielke now; he's first choice centre back. He still needs a dance. He needs a dance partner next to him, because I'm really unconvinced that Scales is going to be the long term answer.
Yeah.
We did see that at the weekend. He looked as if he did struggle. Did a lot of the simple stuff okay, but he was on the ball for too long. You expect your centre backs to just distribute the ball away. It's something that Carter Vickers would do in two or three touches. Scales was taking 7, 8 touches. It's a bit of a weird one with regard to his future, because I don't know if Aberdeen came back in for him, but due to the injuries, he has to stay, at least at this point, until Celtic bring a replacement in, or reinforcements in. I think for me, Lewis Palmer, if he comes in, you'd expect it to be in the next day or so. If it's not even announced today, or then you'd think it'd be tomorrow, then I would throw him straight in. If you're bringing in an impact player, allow him to make an impact first.
Let him make an impact, yeah.
Yeah, because I think both sides wanted this player, so you might as well bring him on at Ibrox to show exactly why he was high on the interest, or he was high on the short list for both teams, and you can see why he picked Celtic. Let's just see. Let's see what he can do. But I do think that left back needs to be remedied. Taylor didn't have as bad a game, but I think that was down to the opposition. It was St Johnstone. They weren't really challenging as much in an attacking sense, apart from a couple of chances towards the end. But I think Greg Taylor's really struggling to revert back to a traditional fullback role. He's preferred playing in this inverted role, and I think he's struggling.
So let me ask you this: if they got, say, a centre back in, or a loan deal for a central defender, would you risk playing 3 at the back with Lagerbielke, a lone defender, or a centre back, and Alistair Johnston?
I'd want it to be Lagerbielke and whoever we sign this week at the back.
That's what I mean.
Ibrox.
So yeah, centre back and Alistair Johnston. Would you think? Could you see Celtic repelling Rangers with a 3 at the back, these kind of central defenders, or would you?
I'd rather the experiment against lesser teams, to be honest,
right,
than bringing it away.
So that's the call. So left back, are you going to sign a left back and a centre back?
Yeah, I would.
You would?
I think we're used to playing with 4 at the back, or 2 centre backs.
So would you bring in 2 loan in those positions, in left back and centre back?
I would sign.
And just
I would sign a left back. I would sign a left back and loan a centre back, because I think if you sign a centre back, you are gonna inevitably, and I know it sounds weird to say this just now because so many centre backs have dropped like flies, you're gonna get to a point in 2 months' time where there's gonna be an overload of centre backs, because everybody's gonna be coming back at the same time. You've got to look at the future as well as the present when it comes to these situations, and you could bring in somebody that's going to play 5-10 games in these 2 months, and then they won't get a single game after that. You're going to get another Jens, maybe, that you just won't get a game after Christmas, due to the fact that Nawrowski, Welsh and Carter Vickers all come back at the same time. If they're all in the same time frame, then they'll all just slot back and it'll be as is. You think it'd be, if Lagerbielke has really cemented himself as Celtic's first choice, then you're hoping that Nawrowski can then challenge him for that spot alongside Carter Vickers, because he is undoubtedly Celtic's best defender. Once he's back, then I think I'll feel a wee bit more safer when Carter Vickers is back. It'll be a long 2 months without him. But yeah, it's one of those ones. I think Celtic do need a long-term option at left back. If you're going to spend the money, spend it there just now. Bring in experience at the centre-back position and remedy the left-back problem, because I think it's going to become more of a problem.
So that's what I mean by this week. There has to be an intense week of shape, formation and system, right? So whatever Brendan Rodgers chooses, whether it's 4 at the back or 3 at the back, and your worry is that at this minute in time they're not. I'm not saying they're not understanding the instructions, but they're maybe not playing to the instructions, or they're trying to fuse that hybrid of Andy's play the way they played the past couple of years, and then Brendan's tweaks to that system. And there's, there's clearly a circuit not connecting, isn't there? So it's not clicked into gear yet. So that's what I mean, that this week's so important, that you nail that down and the guys go to Ibrox with no confusion abounding, nothing like that. They are clear and the message is straightforward. Everybody knows their job and they go out there and if they perform that individual tasks to the best of their ability, then I still think that this Celtic team, whatever team takes the field, and it will be, Dash, as you say, possibly an experimental team, but they're still good footballers. They can play football. So I trust the manager to get what he wants in the next few days, and then be able to fashion a team that's capable of going to Ibrox and getting a result. I've got to be honest, and maybe it is me being overly optimistic, but I look at Rangers and yeah, they've improved under Michael Beale, but they're by no means a finished article, and they're not great. And in terms of midweek, you don't know what's going to happen. They'll either be up there or down a wee bit. So, they have that as well. So, I understood all the doom and gloom stuff on Saturday because we were all quite hurt by the fact and upset by the fact that Celtic didn't win. But now, as I say, I'm in a more positive frame of mind, and I think there's no other frame of mind you can be in.
Yeah,
Going to Ibrox,
absolutely.
you have to meet this challenge head on. This is why you're at Celtic. You said the other day every point dropped and every game lost is a crisis. A mini slump. Call it what you like. All those words that are dredged out. This comes with the territory at Celtic. So time to just strap yourself in and do what you came here to do.
Get to work.
Aye, that's perform. Yeah, get to work. Perform at a big club where the expectations are high, and they don't come much higher than when you go to Ibrox and you're playing against 52,000 as well, and your direct opponent. Yeah, but see, if that's me, I want it. That's why you become a professional footballer. You live and breathe these games, Ryan. See, if you don't live and breathe these games, then you don't deserve to be there. You'll not be there. You'll trudge off that park a loser. You know what I mean? So live it and breathe it. And that's all the Celtic supporters ask. And if they do come off the park having lost the game, then so be it. But show that fight, that commitment, that passion. Show what it means to you as a Celtic player from the management team down. And if they lose, fine. It's not the end of the world. But see, if they do show all of the above, then I still think they've got a great chance of winning because I trust the manager to come up with a plan. And you've been disappointed with the plan so far. I get that. But there has to come a time when things click into place, it gels, it starts to look like what's happening out there is what Brendan Rodgers wants. And what a place to do that. What an arena. What a chance they've got. What an opportunity they've got to change the mood music. So yeah, let me at them, Ryan, as you say. Let me speak to the boys and tell them I'm joking. But because it means everything to you and I. So you have to transmit that to the players.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I think Brendan Rodgers has made a big thing about he's a supporter. So if he's a supporter, he should be able to channel that to those players. But those players know the score. Most of them have been over the course and distance. So I just know that Ibrox will bring the best out in a few of them because it's why they're football players, and it's why they opt to choose to play for Celtic for moments like this. Go and meet it head on.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to bring up a comment that Brown Warrior made. He was talking about a name that we've heard for years and years and years, but so much so that I think he's not really. he wouldn't really fit now just due to his age profile. I think he's 28, 29. Birger Mellon joined Copenhagen for €2 million. I think he's went back to Scandinavia. He was playing in France, I believe, and he's moved back to Scandinavia. It was a player that I wanted Celtic to sign about 5 or 6 years ago. I always thought when he played for Rosenborg, he was a real standout against Celtic. He looked as if he could do a job. Celtic then went and signed bowling goalie and Greg Taylor instead. I know Greg Taylor's had a good Celtic career, but the former did not have a good time at the club. You just wonder what players will be linked over the coming days, because I think there'll be teams down in England that have got their squads ready for the new season. They know the ins and outs, or they know who they want in and who they want out. And so they'll be sort of, I don't know, like auctioning their players off to
but do you know
to
what,
teams
Ryan?
that need them more.
I'm not going to pay attention to any links.
No,
just get players in. Nah, just get players in. You will pay attention, but as I said the other day, links are good, signings are better. This is, you cannot muck about now. You can't be linked with a player over the next 5 days and nothing happen type thing. I think this is time for Celtic to get serious, go to work, go to business. Brendan Rodgers has to be armed with the tools that he should have had in the past couple of months. We've spoken about that. Yeah, if it's so be it, but I think the manager himself has to chap the door and say, right, I need this, this and this before we go to Ibrox. And I think he has to be provided with this, this and this, or X, Y and Z, as I've called it, so that he can go into that game in some kind of positive frame of mind for the clash. Last couple of results have been poor, performances have been poor, not deserved to win either of them. We got what we deserved from both. Nothing. It's gone. We move on. Mm-hmm. You have to move. You have to move on. You have to let the manager move you on by helping him, because he knows a lot about football. His knowledge is second to none, and he can get the better of Rangers if he's allowed to, and if he's armed with the tools at his disposal. Then I have every.
He's got the track record.
Yeah, correct, right. So that's what keeps me going. If that's the case, then after Saturday, may as well no turn up. Going to get turned over again. All this kind of talk. I hate that kind of talk ahead of a Rangers game. I really do. And even if they'd lost every game going into Ibrox, I'd still be quite positive about getting a result against Rangers. So I just I was a bit down on Saturday. I'm not down anymore. I just feel that something's got to give here. They haven't started the season the way everybody wanted, but I just think you embrace that. You embrace what's coming on Sunday. You have to and grab it by the throat and say, right, let's have a rip at this. Let's do it. And see if I see a Celtic team that does that and they don't win, then fine. As I say, it's not the end of the world. But see if a Celtic team does that and grabs a game by the scruff of the neck, I still think they've got a great chance of being successful in this fixture. Because as I say, I look at Rangers and they're getting better under Michael Beale, but I don't really study them in depth, so other people can talk about their strengths, weaknesses and merits. I focus on Celtic, and it's about what Celtic can do on Sunday to quieten that crowd and that noise.
Yeah, absolutely. It's these games take care of themselves at the end of the day. I just want to thank everybody for watching us. We've got over 700 people watching at this point on a Monday morning. That's incredible stuff. So thank you everybody for joining us. Just if I could bring up the website before we continue, before we talk about maybe more of the negative news that's came out over the past 24, 48 hours. If you subscribe to the Celtic Way website, you'll be supporting top quality football journalism covering the club you love. Visit www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. £4 for 4 months. We've got a scouting piece from Stuart Ross coming out very soon on Luis Palma, displaying all the positives and the negatives in the Honduran wingers game. So if you subscribe, then you'll be in a perfect place to read that when it does drop eventually. It might even drop today if Luis Palma does sign for the club. We're going to put it out as soon as possible. So yeah, it's if you are interested in Celtic-minded journalism and you want all your news from the one place, and please visit www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe and get involved. We really do appreciate it. It helps us function. It helps us do this YouTube channel. So if you are interested, then please give us a subscription and let us know how we do. So yeah, I feel like we need to talk about the negative story that came out yesterday regarding one of Celtic's players. On Instagram, it's that dreaded Instagram. It's a place that provides so many problems for players. Haksabanovic yesterday morning put up an Instagram post. It was a picture of him in black and white alongside Oh Hyung-yu walking off the pitch. I think it was when he got injured last season at Hibs, I believe, when he came off injured. With the caption saying, "If they don't see your value, maybe you're not at the right place." This came after he played 20-25 minutes off the bench yesterday, or the day previous. So he did get good game time on that day. So I don't think that the caption makes a lot of sense at this point, but there was a couple of players that did like the post as well, and Bernabei and O as well. What do you make of all this, Tony? I just think it's a complete sideshow to what is going on, and it doesn't help anybody.
See, if you're a strong manager, Haksabanovic leaves the club.
Yeah.
I've got no room for that. I've got no truck with it. I could understand if Haksabanovic had set the header alight, wasn't getting a fair crack at the whip. Everybody had high hopes for Haksabanovic because we think there's a player there, right? But see, in the week before you play Rangers and all the negativity that stemmed from the two results, and you've got a player doing that, I just think that's intolerable, right? I wouldn't suffer that. I just say to him, and the murmurings before that he was telling his agent that, he wanted out the place. Fine, you want out the place? There's a door. You're not upset my squad of players. And then, and I think it's utterly disrespectful not to talk to the manager and go onto a social media, Instagram, and vent your spleen that way, and I know Chris Sutton said maybe he's got a point. I disagree with that. I don't think he's got a point. If I'm Brendan Rodgers, I say to him, there's a door. You're off, you're gone, you won't play for me again. Because I just think, and in the week of all weeks, it's something you don't need. It's a circus you don't need.
He's made it about himself when it should be about the team.
From a player who has had, 2 or 3 contributions. I know he won the Player of the Month at one point just prior to the World Cup, but that's about it. So if I'm Brendan Rodgers and I want to show strong leadership, I'd make an example of Haksabanovic and just say, you will not kick a ball for me again. Go and tell your agent to see what's out there because you're leaving, right? And that's it. And to the others, like Bernabei, I don't know, what is he working on, the 6 strikes in your out premise, And Rocco Vata I think that's just mired in his situation at the club. He's frustrated as well. And then there's been murmurings about a move to Italy and stuff like that. See, if you have these players at your club, it's no use. You have to sort of turn around and say, that's the way you feel, gentlemen. Cheerio. I want players who are fully committed to me and my teammates and this club, because you'll not get any better opportunity in life. And if you can look yourself in the mirror and say you made the most of that opportunity, then so be it. But I think players like Bernabei, Rocco Vata, I think maybe unlucky per se, but still, if he's that good, he would be in the team. Haksabanovic in particular, who has flattered to deceive every time he's been given a start after coming on and making an impact, he's done nothing. He's not proved that he's a certain starter in that team. I just don't think you need players like that permeating your dressing room and in the atmosphere. And I think this is a week where Brendan Rodgers has to show a bit of strength. And do you know what? I would like it if he did that, as much as it pains me, because I think there's a player in Haksabanovic. You just can't have mavericks, as you say, making it about themselves. It always will be about the collective, the Celtic collective, the family, the team. So I'm I wouldn't say raging at Haksabanovic, but I was bitterly disappointed to read that, especially the timing. And I think that's what will... I just think it's disrespectful to his manager and his fellow Celtic teammates. How do you get into that dressing room today?
That's
training,
absolutely.
how do you face your players thinking, well, I'm thinking I'm better than most of you that are playing, so I've got no time for it, no truck with it. Just get them out the door. And if, you're trying to sow the seeds of unrest there, aren't you? In the dressing room, and unrest in the dressing room is no good for any football club. You want a harmonious dressing room,
Just bringing up this comment, thanks for the comment. Haksabanovic was told weeks ago to find a club. That was the rumours that were going about. If that is the case, then why is he still coming off the bench then? Shouldn't he be away from the squad? If he's... Is that a fault on Brendan Rodgers' side or the coach's side? Because if you've told a player to find a new club, then they shouldn't be involved. That means that they're separated.
It's a fault on the recruitment side then, isn't it? That you've not recruited players that would see them out off the premises anyway, so I think there's lots of faults here, but I'm just... I can't be having Haksabanovic doing that. I really can't. We've seen enough to see that he's maybe got some promise, but it's been fits and starts, and I just think strong leadership's needed here. If that's the case, go. I'm not so sure that he would be missed, would he? Especially with attitude like that, and especially in this week of all weeks. When Celtic are poor. Yeah, Celtic are about to play their hardest game of the season so far.
And just a wee side point. I know that O liked the post as well. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because he is also in the picture, so he could just be liking a picture of Haksabanovic. But at the same time, there is a translate button on Instagram as well. So if you can't really lose the message in translation because the translation is there to see. It's one of these ones, it's a 50-50. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt due to the fact that he's in the picture, but at the same time...
I think the likes of O would be taken aside and unwarned for his conduct, and that would be a strike against his name, wouldn't it? To be fair.
It could be second strike then if he played on with an injury after that Athletic Club
game. Just reminding him of his duties and responsibility as a Celtic player, both on and off the field, and with regards to social media. I seem to think that a lot of players think they're invisible, even when they post on social media. And you don't want to be draconian about it and ban them from using social media, but there has to be some kind of meeting about this sooner rather than later to sort of
absolutely.
say to them, listen, guys, you are responsible adults, but we're asking you to be responsible when it comes to social media. And if
they are ambassadors as well.
Yeah,
as well as players.
They're Celtic footballers on and off the field. They represent, the football club. So, and you have to represent it in the best way possible at every minute that you're there. So you can't be going on social media and letting themselves down and portraying the club in a bad light. It's a prerequisite. Again, I go back. It's a given when you sign that form that says you are here for Celtic for X amount of years. That's part of the territory that comes with it. You act in a manner becoming of the wonderful institution that's Celtic Football Club, and that includes social media. See, if you can't be trusted to do that, then you can't be trusted. End of. So again, I'll go back to players being granted a wonderful opportunity to play for a world-renowned and massive football club, and they blow it.
It's the biggest club he's played for.
And they blow it by being stupid because they can't resist going on social media. See if it's that much, see if you can't be trusted, you can't trust yourself to go on social media and be responsible. Don't do it. It's like people saying, I went on Twitter or I went on when I was drunk. Don't do it. It's just like, you are responsible for your own actions.
I know.
So, and those kind of actions determine the players that make it and the ones that don't, right? You don't see Callum McGregor on social media, do you? You don't see Henrik Larssons of this world on social media. You might see them on social media, but they're posting, happy
They've got
things about
PR. They've
achieving.
got PR representatives.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And see if that's what's needed. That kind of internal meeting about being on social media. And I know they're young people and I get that, but you can only give them so much leeway here, Ryan. That first and foremost, concentrate on your football. And then see when you've won something and you've been successful, go and post all you want on social media and say, hey, here's me and my teammates and stuff, Achieve something first. Don't become famous for non-football reasons.
Absolutely.
You're,
Celtic know all about that. A couple of players in
you're,
the past.
you are not influencers. You are professional football players. And I stress the word professional. Be professional in every outlook of being a Celtic player. That's on and off the field. Be professional. This is your
Absolutely.
job, right? This is what you do for a living. You're not an influencer. You're not a social media mogul, or you're famous by the fact you play for Glasgow Celtic Football Club.
The only place you should influence is the football pitch. Is what you do on the football pitch if you are selected.
That's where you are an influencer.
I think a couple of people have jeopardised that just by. I know that people are saying in the comments that it can be just the click of a button, but these guys are smart. They hear tactics. They're in for team meetings. It's not as if they've got a lack of intelligence. They need to have some level of intelligence to play football. And the click of a like is an endorsement on Instagram a lot of the time. You've got to look at what that looks like as a public perception. When you see that Haksabanovic is kicking up a fuss due to a lack of game time, and you see other Celtic players liking that post, it feels like an endorsement to that message.
See, if you want to be an influencer, go and influence what happens at Ibrox on Sunday.
There we go.
There you go. There'd be a big influencer.
There's your headline.
Yeah, but it's true, isn't it? That's what I'd be saying. That's the first thing I'd say if I'm Brendan Rodgers. You want to be an influencer? Go and influence the results on Sunday against Rangers at Ibrox, first and foremost. And then, I can't believe and you still have these conversations in this day and age with social media with regards to football players. How many mistakes are they going to make via social media channels? It staggers me, to be honest. And I know we all make mistakes, and I'm all I ever do on social media is put notices to articles on the website and stuff like that.
You're never kicking up a fuss, Tony. You're a consummate professional.
That's because I try, because you're never going to win. So that's the whole point. And I'll put maybe links to. Sorry, I'll say thank you to people that say I read that piece. It was very good. I'm always kind and courteous in a chat, and I'm quite approachable that way. But I just don't get involved in arguments, over social media platforms. It's just it's pointless, And I posted links to books that I'd written and stuff like that. That's the extent of my kind of social media activity, and maybe that's why I'm kind of teetotal, Ryan. Eh? Save you from yourself. But even then, I've never ever been under the influence and thought, what's a good idea? I'm going to go to Twitter or Facebook or Instagram and say something ridiculous. I
know.
I don't know. There's a mindset there, isn't there? I can't get my head around that, to be honest. And see, if I was a football player for Celtic, I wish I was. I'd give it everything. I'd be, I'm not. I write about Celtic, but as much as I do, this is 24/7. We eat, sleep, and breathe it, and sometimes our DMs are still going at 1 and 2 in the morning. Something's came in from the Swedish Aftonbladet newspaper, and you're just
never stops.
And you're on Translate, and you're just like, all right, that kind of stuff. So, see if we can be like that about our job. I expect the same from those who are representing Celtic Football Club and those who, pay a lot of money to follow the fortunes of Celtic Football Club. And there's okay, Al McKell saying, Tony, you come from a completely different generation from these players. Yeah, that's possible. That's possible.
But I come from the same generation, and I'm saying the same things. It's I think there's a bit of symmetry as well.
Yeah.
I remember Brendan Rodgers in his first spell was talking about how you need to be. Was it Brendan Rodgers or was it Ronnie Dyer? I'm not too sure, but one of them did say that you need to be a 24-hour footballer. And I think that does extend to being a 24-hour ambassador of the football club. When you're not playing, those are the moments where pitfalls can happen. You could fall into a trap of posting something on Instagram that you will come to regret later on. Because I've got no doubt you'll be hearing about it this morning. Haksabanovic, he'll be pulled into the office for that. It's a situation that's so preventable, but it's also so easy to get stuck in or so easy to fall into. It's just that.
Maybe it is old-fashioned from me. I get that, but I just think you're a Celtic footballer. Your conduct has to be becoming of the institution that you represent at all times. At all times, on and off the field. And I get that there's an element of freedom that they get in terms of their social media. All I would say to those young players who are social media animals is be smart at all times, be shrewd, be clever, be careful. That's
because
all
it's always
that's,
there. It never goes when you post it.
Of course. And and if you find yourself that you're too addicted to it, then just try and kind of wean yourself off it or take advice from those who have seen the pitfalls of saying the wrong thing on social media and acting in the wrong way and acting in an unprofessional manner. I just ask them to be professional, Ryan, at all times. I don't think that's too much to ask when you sign a contract with Celtic.
And you know what? He turned the comments off on Instagram, so you knew exactly what response he was going to get, or what response he did get at the start before maybe turning them off. I'm not sure if the comments were on at all. If he's known what sort of response it's a message. It is a message from the player to basically say he's unhappy. It's a declaration of unhappiness, and I think Celtic have got to deal with it.
It's the new form of media, isn't it?
Well, you look at Fabrizio Romano, he's made a career out of doing that.
Well, in my day, they would have gone to a journalist, a sympathetic journalist, and did the whole, I'm not happy, I need a game, or I should be in the first team type thing. So this is the new form of it, isn't it? Posting, emojis and cryptic messages on Instagram. That wasn't so cryptic, but this is the new wave, isn't it? And I go back to it. It doesn't matter if you go to a newspaper and do your story with a sympathetic journalist, or if you go onto Instagram or social media and say you're unhappy. It's still, the crux of it all is you're unprofessional. And if you're unprofessional, then maybe you are in the wrong place, because you shouldn't be at Celtic if you're going to act as unprofessionally as that, And I don't care what MD says. The players at Celtic, and most of them, I think they all are, should be as passionate as you and I, Ryan, about the football club. And when you go, sorry.
No, it was just to sort of. I was going to make one more point about something else that's happened over the past 2-3 hours. Just before we finish off the show, because I do see we've nearly went on for an hour now. It's totally flown by. But it has been interesting the comments regarding Haksabanovic. But I just wanted to bring it on to a more positive ending with regard to the two young players that have moved to Austria's second division. Matthew Anderson and Toby Oluwayemi. There was talk that there was a partnership between Celtic and Admira Wacker, who got relegated from the Austrian top league last year. It seems as if the two are really helping each other. Celtic are getting the development of players in a decent league, and Admiravákar are getting good young players. So just quickly before we finish, we can maybe discuss this in more detail tomorrow, but what's your view on this? Do you think that's a good level for these players to go to? It's obviously better than playing in the fifth division of Scottish football. The second division of Austrian football should be of a higher level than that.
I think anything that can help the development of young players is seen as a positive, isn't it? And obviously Celtic did this tie-in with Admiravákar because they thought that level would help these players progress and advance at a more accelerated rate. So I'm going to go with a positive on that, Ryan, and say, yeah, hopefully that does help these two players. Hopefully they're better for it. But I tell you what, they will have, they'll have a better life experience, and they'll come back more rounded individuals and maybe appreciate the lot a lot more when they come back and understand what's needed to take that next step to get into the first team, so and allow them to go there and develop and flourish and also miss back home. I think that can also help footballers, that they kind of miss the comforts of back home, certainly, but hopefully they're playing at a decent competitive level. And with Admiravákar and Celtic seem to think so, or else they wouldn't have had the tie-in. So yeah, I'm all for that, but I think it's an enriching life experience, and I think that's a lot of these young players. That's the problem; they've not had, life experience. They're young. They're in Celtic's academy. It's all they've known, but they've never played a level of football. They haven't broadened their horizons. Their scope and their tunnel's been very narrow. And I think this can make you a better rounded individual. It can make you a better rounded person, and also hopefully make you a better all rounded player. And I think that's the premise and thinking behind it, and accelerate that process from academy levels to the first team. Here's hoping that's the way it works out for those two young boys. I'd like to think so.
Fingers crossed, because they're both really highly rated, especially Anderson, who captained the B team last season in a lot of games. So hopefully they do both smash it over there and get plenty of first team experience. I know Oluwayemi didn't have the greatest loan spell at Cork City, so hopefully he gets more game time for Admiravákar and he comes back a better player. They both do, because in the end that means that the loan deals have worked. Just want to say thank you everybody for joining us. We had over 700 people watching at one point in
astonishing.
For 10 past 11 in the morning. That's incredible numbers. So we really, really do appreciate it. And before we go, if you do like what we do and you want to read about more about what we do and everything with regard to Celtic, then please subscribe to the Celtic Way website. You'll be supporting top quality football journalism covering the club you love at www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. It's going to be a very busy week ahead. Should be plenty of signings, plenty of stories coming out, plenty of opinions. We'll get loads of different opinions coming out from different people. So there's always a good mix. There's not the one message. Everybody's free to give their own opinion on the website. So you'll get a good mix of how everybody's feeling with regard to the way things are going with Celtic. So yeah, if you are interested, then please give us a subscribe. £4 for 4 months, and you'll be sorted until basically the new year. So if you visit www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe, please get involved. We really would appreciate it. And please subscribe to the YouTube channel, because there'll be plenty more videos where this comes from, both from pre-recorded and in the live streams in the morning. But thank you very much, everybody, for today's show. It has been a bit of a long one, but we've had plenty to talk about and discuss. I think we got through everything that we were going to talk about before, Tony, didn't we?
I think we did, yeah, but if not, there's always tomorrow, isn't there?
There's always tomorrow. There's always another day to talk about it. And do you know what? Will it even be news at that point? It'll be history at that point. So
correct.
We'll have to look back on it fondly with, I don't know, either regret or positivity.
But, Celtic supporters, they know their history, don't they?
That's the song. That's the song. Tony, thank you very much for joining me today. Thank you to everybody for joining us as well. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow to discuss everything on Tuesday's Celtic Morning Briefing. But until then, enjoy your day and have a good day. Yeah, cheers.